All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Somers Town Board work session starting here at 7:05. Thursday, May 4th, 2023. 7:07, sorry.
Yes, I was going to say.
7:07.
You need somebody from the clock.
Before we start our work session here tonight, I'd like to take some time to recognize the Somers High School Science Research Program and the students for winning awards at the Westchester Science and Engineering Fair. I think it's an unbelievable thing that you guys have accomplished. We want to recognize you because we're so proud of you as a community for what you guys have achieved. And we'd like to hopefully make this a regular event every year. And I think, forget me, how many did you have last year? Bill, how many did you have last year? When the
About 10.
About 10, and this year we have 17 or so?
Wow.
So that's, yeah. So that's unbelievable. So everybody gives a round of applause to them. That'd be great. We have some certificates that I would like to, certificates of appreciation from the town of Somers. So I'm going to call the kids up, and then maybe we get a picture with everybody afterwards. And then Bill, we have something here for you as well, okay?
Do you want to get out?
Yeah, I'm going to get out in the front here. If you guys want to come up here in the front, or...
I'll wait till the picture's more back there.
Let's go down there.
I'll relax.
Well, there will be.
Just
Get everybody
I'll
here.
turn around.
Oh, yeah.
The new podium.
It's a new painted podium.
Yeah. Because it,
Paint looks
Nice.
good.
I don't know about you guys, but I think it pops.
It pops.
It pops.
It jumped right out.
It
It
did.
did.
It did.
Podium for 30 years.
It did.
Putting the seal on this side, so we'll be
Gray like an
it'll be
elephant.
very nice. So the first, now excuse me guys if I mispronounce your names, so okay, just bear with me.
But if it sounds like it, come up.
Yeah. So first person we'd like to recognize here is Corinne Watt. Is she here? She's not here. Okay.
All right. 0 for 1.
0 for 1 today. It's all right. Okay. Second person we'd like to recognize, Sophia DeMella.
All right.
Right.
Yeah. Why don't you stay up
Yeah,
here?
why don't you come
We'll
over
get
to the
picture.
side
Just
here?
sit over here.
Stay
That'd be
Here
great.
by the
By the elephant.
brand new
It's like
elephant.
having the starting lineup called out at a game.
She doesn't bite.
Meet old vet.
Next up is Connor Edinburgh.
Congratulations.
Michael Alaquino.
Congratulations, Michael.
Ella Pontanero. She's not here? Okay. Maya Shirakura. Not here? Okay. Did I say that right? I did. All right. Kira Goff. Taylor Bassi.
Congratulations.
Mary Grace Mahoney. Not here? Okay. Timothy Lee. Nate Traver. Not here. Kylie Picco. Did I say that right? Andrew Acosta. Sebastian Wisa. Charles Heese.
Who's that?
Lauren McCartan. Not here. And Zoe Gutherman. Okay, and then I would like to read a proclamation that we have here. Whereas the town of Somers is fortunate to be the beneficiary of the efforts and contributions of many fine citizens, and occasionally one person will stand out with extraordinary willingness and ability to serve his community. And whereas Dr. William Melia, right? Melia recently earned his doctorate in education at Northwestern University and has worked for Somers High School since 2010 as a science teacher, where he began as a chemistry teacher and then taught science research classes. And whereas Bill enhanced the already strong SHS science research program by successfully guiding students at local, state, and international competitions, hosting the first Somers Science Research Fair for Northern Westchester and Putnam schools in 2019, initiating Somers becoming the site of one of the largest science research fairs in the country beginning in 2022, the Regeneron Westchester Engineering and Science Fair. And whereas Town of Somers wishes to officially recognize Dr. William Melia and praise him for his passion and love of science and his continued dedication and mentorship to his students throughout the science research program. Now, therefore, be it resolved on the behalf of the entire town board of the town of Somers, I, Robert Scarano, supervisor, do hereby officially express our gratitude, thanks, and appreciation to Dr. William Melia for his years of service, and hereby declare Friday, May 5th, 2023 as Dr. William Melia Day in the town of Somers. Yeah.
All right.
You can do whatever you like.
I used to be able to like to stand in the back because I was taller, but you can never see
Melia, still crushing it. Good to see you. Good work. Good work. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's 6.12. Good photo. 23rd is what again? 4. The mole. 23rd. Mole's pretty cool. Just mole. Just one mole. Okay.
guy standing on the chairs.
Yeah, guy standing on the chairs are snoring.
Anybody else? Congratulations.
Just give me an idea what they do with that, right? I can let them know.
You want to take these for the students?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
He was one, if not two, of my kids' teachers. Yeah.
I am Tom.
Turn around.
You know, I asked if he would be able to just give us a rundown of some of the topics. Both of my daughters went through the science research program just prior to you got there, and although neither became a scientist, it's the what they learned is how to think, and that was the process that they went through in various ways. So it's a really valuable thing because schools are there to teach people how to think, not what to think, but how to think.
Yep.
So I asked if you could just, like, some of the things, that people were doing that we probably won't even understand the titles, but maybe you could tell us about that.
Yeah, of course. So I actually would rather they come up and tell you. So if you don't mind, I'll have a couple of them, 3 or 4, come up, just tell you what their project title is, and then I can kind of give you a brief look at what the program has been doing and kind of where we're going. And we'll wrap it up with that. So do I have a couple volunteers, 3 or 4? Mike?
All right. Nice.
Pretty tall. So I'm Mike Aquilino. I took a different turn. Last year I did research on concussions and concussion diagnosis and recovery. But this year I'm going to school for finance and I'm on the business route. So I switched topics and did a computer science and financial paper and project. So I did sentimental analysis which is pretty much I combed through a bunch of financial literature and kind of plucked out a bunch of words and got the sentiment or like the tone behind that and what that was kind of meaning, if a stock was positive, negative, or just any security really. It didn't really have to be stocks. And I found that 10Q SEC filings, which is a company's quarterly reports, were generally less negative compared to internet articles online about any given stock. So that was my project.
Any idea where you're going to school next year?
I'm going to Penn State.
Awesome.
So,
Good luck.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys for honoring us. Thank you.
And do you have any investment advice for the audience? Really, that's why they're here.
I think an 18-year-old is not really suited for that, but
I agree.
maybe in a couple years. Maybe in a couple years.
All right, come back.
Thank you.
Regeneron, $753 a share.
Hello, my name is Kira Goff, and my mentor was with the Penn Vet Working Dog Center, and I assessed how a canine's behavior levels, such as arousal level, may impact their detection abilities, such as olfactory thresholds, which is the lowest concentration of a substance they can detect. And my experience at the Penn Vet Working Dog Center really opened doors for me into the research world of veterinary science. Next year, I plan to study animal science on a pre-veterinary track, and I look forward to doing undergraduate research as well as continuing my passion in small animal practice.
And do you know where you're going?
I'm going to Cornell.
Oh,
Very nice.
and just so you know, Kira is also president of the Somers Leos.
Yes, I am.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
So I was walking my dog the other day, and little kids down the street and I said, "Did you know?" So my dog's sniffing all over the place, you know. I said, "A dog's sense of smell is 1,000 times greater than a human." Was I anywhere correct on that?
About 10,000 to 100,000 times that of humans.
So
I underestimated my dog.
So now you were way off.
10,000 to 100,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this answers why Councilman Clinchy wanted financial advice from an 18-year-old. So,
Well, you could smell out the stocks, you know. That's
Thank you.
thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tim Lee. I'm a senior. I worked with a team from Europe, Italy, and Dubai, TIA Euro Racing. We did a project on the use of sample-based testing to increase the safety of autonomous vehicles. So I started with self-driving cars in sophomore year, in the beginning of the year, with my mentor. And since then, I've been working towards just bettering the software and safety of all these autonomous vehicles and racing them as well at the same time.
Are they safe?
Racing.
Yes, racing.
You're a senior, you said?
I'm a senior, yes.
Do you know where you're going?
I'm going to Purdue University.
Nice.
Nice.
Oh,
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
And you're going to do fine
yeah.
in life.
Hi, I'm Connor Entenberg, and I worked at Einstein up in the Bronx, or down the Bronx. But I worked on chemotherapy research and looking at the effects of chemotherapy on the thymus and how damage from chemotherapy, and then after that, how the thymus regenerates from it and how that affects the immune system
Wow.
Amazing.
in general.
What year are you?
Yeah.
I'm a junior.
So you're junior. No school yet.
No school yet.
Any conclusions on how it does regenerate and its effect on the immune system?
Yeah, so we found that the thymus regenerates in essentially 3 distinct phases, where it starts from a severely involuted state where it begins to regain its mass, and then it gains a mass greater than that of a normal thymus before it begins to go back down to the regular thymus size. And we saw that we expected that during the enlarged state of the thymus, that the immune system, that the output from the thymus, where it outputs T cells, that it would be increased, but we found that it was actually severely diminished during that time. So we saw that even though the thymus does regenerate its mass after chemotherapy, its purpose in the immune system isn't restored.
So even when it decreases in size, it doesn't go back to its normal function.
It does eventually, but
Eventually.
it's very prolonged.
Huh?
It takes a long time for it to get back to
Those
its
T
normal
cells
state.
are important.
They are, yeah.
So how did you gather all your data in those different sets? I mean,
We used a bunch of different things. For some of them, we just took measurements of the actual thymus. We either weighed it or we used MRI. And we also did flow cytometry to count the number of cells that were being produced by the thymus, or how many cells were within the thymus. And we did complete blood count analysis of the peripheral blood just to see how many T cells were in the blood.
And
at
how
the
many
time.
samples did you take? I mean, you must have took a lot of samples.
We used around 250 mice.
Wow.
I think.
Okay.
Wow.
Poor little mice.
Now, I heard a lot of you guys say you had mentors. How was the mentor determined? How do you guys find a mentor? How does that happen?
I feel like Millie would be a good one to talk about this.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Good job, guys, everybody.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Everybody. Awesome.
So yeah, just a kind of summary of what science research is. It's a 3-year course at the high school where students will come in their sophomore year and they will look for a mentor who's a professional in the field. It could be somebody that's local, like in Connor's case, his mentor was a professor at Einstein. But it could be remote. As Tim was saying, his mentors were located in Europe, and so a lot of his communication was done remotely. One thing that came out of the pandemic is everyone is very comfortable with Zoom now, so it's opened up our mentor pool, which has been great. But the students will then develop a project with the guidance of their mentor, and they will conduct their research and produce original findings. Some students will end up being published for their work. They'll be listed as an author on the papers that are published in peer-reviewed scientific journals. But they'll go and they'll present their findings at different competitions and symposiums, both locally, nationally, and internationally. So the students that were recognized tonight were all won awards at the Westchester Science and Engineering Fair. That fair was started in 2000. It has grown to over 500 students from about 45 different districts in the area. It used to be held at Sleepy Hollow. This year was the first year that we are now the host here in Somers. It is the largest regional pre-collegiate science high school fair in the country. And it feeds into the the Regeneron International Science and Engineering Fair, which is going to be held down in Dallas this year.
Which used to be Intel.
What was that?
It used to be Intel.
It used to be Intel,
Right,
correct,
right.
and now Regeneron has taken that over. So that's a great accomplishment for the town of Somers, is having this competition here. As you had said, back in 2019, I started the Somers Science Fair here, which is a first-year science competition. So students who come in 10th grade, it gives them something at the end of the year to kind of work towards. So students will be presenting their proposed research. They'll create posters, they'll create their presentations, and they'll present their proposed research that they're going to be conducting over the summer. This year, registration actually closes tomorrow, and right before I came here, I checked, and we are up at 620 students are now registered for that competition in June. That's going to be on Saturday, June 3rd. We do have a public viewing for that. That's from 3:30 to 4:30 on Saturday, June 3rd. So anybody in the community is welcome to come and take a walk around and look at the different projects that students are proposing. So they haven't actually done the research yet, so they don't have data or findings or anything like that, but it's the work that they are planning on doing.
Will the students be there to answer questions?
They will. The students will be at their poster.
There with their poster, right?
Yep, absolutely. We also have a handful of students that are here tonight that were also named as finalists for the International Genius Olympiad, which is going to be held up in Rochester at RIT from June 12th to the 16th. There's usually about 1,200 students that are there competing from 70 different countries. I think the last time they held it in person, they had 70 different countries represented there. So that's another great accomplishment that these students have achieved this year. Things are looking up. Somers has really become kind of a hub for science research here in the area, both hosting competitions and both the quality of the projects that our students are putting out. Our students are highly competitive at these competitions with the work that they're doing. And this year we have, with the pandemic, it became difficult to find mentors. With labs closing, it was hard to find those types of internships. And so the program did shrink a little bit in the last 2 years, but we're at about 50 students in the program this year, and we are anticipating a number of 81 students next year in the program.
So congratulations to you for just developing this program.
Thank you.
It's an amazing thing. You put us on the map. It's very prestigious. And, everybody looks to sports, but they say, not. What about academics? And I think this essentially, this is it. This is it.
Well, you had mentioned that I had just received my doctorate, and my dissertation was on student engagement in science research programs. And you really can't beat it, compared to a typical traditional classroom setting. So,
well, it does teach people how to think.
It does,
and that's the whole purpose of it.
That's
whether
what it
you
is.
go on to be a genius or to invent a self-driving car or whatever it is, but you get to be a better thinker.
And like, I think it was you who said that you had people go through the program that you knew, and they didn't necessarily go into science. Well, one of the most beautiful things about the program, I think, is even if students aren't going into science, the public speaking skills, the ability to write professional emails and communicate with a professional, those are skills that I constantly hear from students when they go to college. They write back to me and they say, I felt so prepared for that presentation I had to give, or how to research and cite scientific articles and peer-reviewed literature. Like, there's a lot that students get, even if they're not going to go and wear a lab coat in their career.
One of my daughters went down to Penn State. Went down there for the research. It was a great weekend. We obviously drove her down. I enjoyed it. But she maintained that relationship while she was in college at Wake Forest.
Well, I'm taking up a lot of your time, but another fun little story is this past spring last year, I received a text message from a student who had graduated a couple of years ago, Alyssa Klee. She was very successful in the program. She came in as a sophomore, and she ended up finding a mentor. She knew that she wanted to do oncology research. She ended up finding a mentor at Harvard. She went and she spent 2 summers there doing her research at Harvard. She was very successful in competitions and everything. She ended up getting accepted to Harvard. And so when she texted me, I had stayed in touch with her over the last couple of years, and he actually brought her into his lab as a freshman her first year at Harvard, first time he ever accepted a freshman student into his lab. Wow. And she sent me a picture, and it was a side-by-side of her as a sophomore the first time she met him, and her with him at her graduation from Harvard. Oh, wow. And so if that doesn't kind of sum up what kind of doors something like this can open for a student, I don't know what does.
Yeah.
Great.
We appreciate everything you're doing. Keep up the work.
Thank you guys
Very
so
well.
much.
Congratulations and congratulations to everybody.
Thanks
And
for
the
coming.
parents.
Thanks
and
for
oh my
coming.
God, the parents.
Yep.
Thank you
Thank you
guys.
so much. Appreciate it.
Now you may all want to get out before we start.
That was the exciting part.
I'm pretty sure everything we're talking about is going to be way below your level.
Now it's the...
See you, Michael.
Thank you.
Very good.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
We're going to let you talk longer.
Yeah.
All righty, let's move on to here. I'd like to make a motion to open a public comment.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So moved. Anybody here for public comment? Come on up.
Obviously, a tall person stood here before me.
Very true.
I'm sure the next person will be taller and have to raise them. So I come bearing gifts, actually, and a proposal. Well, certainly, at least Rich knows, we had a very successful event on April 23rd, Sunday, April 23rd, where we had the author Tony Hiss come and give a talk to a rather packed townhouse of enthusiastic Somers residents. And they were so moved by Tony's talk, and I'll mention in a moment what his talk was about and what the conclusion of it was, that Tony Hiss, the author there, was selling his books. And just before I ran out of books to sell, the audience actually chipped in and bought Supervisor Scarano a copy of the book, which Tony inscribed and which I'll give to you when I'm done up here. They felt it was something of importance and public moment, and they thought you should have an insight into it. It's also a very engaging book. In fact, it's a very, the title is Rescuing the Planet. I see Rich has his copy there.
I do.
Yes.
Good book.
And that makes it sound like it's, something dire, but it is actually a very positive book because even though we are facing a major a crisis in biodiversity, in the crash of species, numbers of species, and also numbers of members of species at a very alarming rate, there nonetheless are things we can do, and there are possibilities here. So just to quickly summarize some of the points that the author made, Tony made, and are in the book. We live in a very thin sort of, what shall I say, sort of like the rind of an orange, a very thin layer within the Earth. It's 12.5 miles from the soils to the top of the atmosphere where life exists. As Tony pointed out, you could drive across it in a matter of minutes. That biosphere, as it's called, is very fragile. And increasingly, environmental science has come to recognize that the integrity of that biosphere depends on its biodiversity, on the range and numbers of plants and animals that exist in it. And so crucial to our existence and the stability of this planet is the preservation of those species. So many of the different crises that you hear referenced, the climate crisis, that sort of thing, the issues with extreme weather and so forth, all of that's interrelated, but all of it ultimately hinges on protecting this biosphere, and an essential, not the only, but an essential ingredient in that is protecting this diversity of species. Environmental science has also been able to quantify how much or what is most necessary in order to protect that biodiversity. And among other things, one of the most important factors is the amount of habitat that's available. So through many decades of study in the area of what's called biogeography, see, I'm trying to dovetail with the previous award recipients, right?
Doing a good job, Michael.
Yeah, well, I'm trying. Anyhow, what biogeography has discovered is essentially the relationship between the size of protected land, open land, and the number of species that it can support that are present. So currently, at our current rate of 15% protected land, we can ensure the survival of maybe 25% of the species on Earth, which would be, were it to come to pass that we lost 75%, that would be a mass extinction event that would definitely threaten our welfare and the biosphere in which we live. However, you don't need to save all of it in order to protect the vast majority of species. If you protect 50% of the Earth's surface, you can protect 90% of the species. And I'm talking about marine and also terrestrial species. So that's 50%. So Tony's book is about trying to achieve 50% of land protection and sea protection, I should say also, by 2050. Now that's a very ambitious goal, given that according to his figures, 40% of the Earth's surface is currently occupied. That would mean we'd have to save an awful lot of what is left over. But nonetheless, it's an extremely important goal, and but it's a big one. So in order to sort of break it down and make it seem more feasible, somebody came up with, I learned a new acronym. It's called BHAG, Big Hairy Idea. Anyway, the big hairy idea was to protect 30% by 2030, a sort of more achievable goal. And Tony was highlighting Somers in his talk because, unlike many other places, we're very close to that goal. We're at 28.3% of the land, the 20,500 some odd acres in Somers, are protected, which means we're, by our calculations, 332 acres short of protecting 30%. But of course, we've got 7 years to go. So the proposal that I'm bringing to you is to make Somers a 30 by 30 town. Now, we're not out there alone, but we would be the first municipality to do that. The U.S. government and the states of California and New York have declared, legislatively enacted this goal of 30 by 30. That is 30% protection by 2030. But we would be the first town. And I think, again, as with the previous guests here, we could put Somers on the map, quite literally, in terms of accomplishing that. So I'm currently talking to the DEC and other people, because this New York's embrace of this is quite recent, and everybody in the bureaucracy is trying to figure out exactly how they're going to do this. So, but I plan on introducing a resolution to, for your consideration, to make us a 30 by 30 town. So,
it's not there. A resolution does not exist as of yet.
No.
So we may have to actually write our own, as I understand it. The Association of Towns, I asked if there is a sample there. They didn't have one available. They said they'll see what they could do. So, you know, it's a resolution is a statement of support and what will guide us in the future.
Right.
And I certainly would be in favor of that.
Okay. Well, thank you. I think this is a very new thing, and whatever we do could be a model for, would be a model
Right.
for other towns.
Right.
I will say people have started jumping out of the woodwork and contacting me about this, because Tony also has this habit of calling everybody he knows once he's fastened on something and spreading the news. So, of course, Westchester Land Trust has reached out to me, H2H has reached out to me, and I did not contact the DEC. They contacted me, as a matter of fact.
Really?
So, yeah, and I'm due to speak with a friend of mine there at the direction of the Region 3 coordinator, who is also new to her job, I guess, but I am assured is a very reasonable person and very interested in things of this nature. So we're kind of out there. It's an interesting place to be, but people definitely have taken notice.
Michael, I know you've sent me a lot of the information, and I'll read over it, and you and I will have another conversation
Right.
offline, and we'll have more discussions about this, and if you're working on a resolution and talking to Westchester and yourself, then yeah, we'll look at everything and we'll see how we can get there.
Okay, well, thank you very much. So
Okay.
let me come give you your gift.
Oh, beautiful.
Signed gift.
I thought you said gifts, but that's all right.
Appreciate it. Well, we might have purchased more.
No swag? What is this?
No swag.
Yeah, I want the science guy.
Yeah, well, you can borrow it from Rob, I suppose. Yeah.
After I finish reading it, I'll
Yeah.
pass
Well,
it on.
I'm not used to book events, and the bookstore that I dealt with also was very unsure what to expect. But I'd say roughly half the audience either bought books or put in requests for books. So it was an unusually enthusiastic endorsement. And it, yeah.
And I was just reminded me that on that day I happened to be sitting next to Hannah McGuire, who is doing research. It's not part of the science research, because I asked her that, but actually part of, I think it's an English class, where they could pick a topic of research, which they are doing, which she is doing with your help, about beech trees, which you highlighted, I think, last week when is it the beech trees?
Yeah,
Beech
it's
nuts or
right,
something?
the plight of the beech trees, I
Yes,
should say.
right, and
Yes,
that's what she was doing. She's going to go to Salve Regina and she's going to study environmental science. So
yeah.
we had other high school kids there
Yeah.
here tonight, and we had at least one that I know of on that Sunday.
Yeah.
You're helping.
No, environmental science is a growing area, and lots of kids have gotten involved in it. And I expect we're going to be seeing more projects come through at Anglefly and Rhinoceros Creek and so forth. We certainly welcome them and want to support them. Anyhow, well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
coming.
Thanks, Michael.
All right, everybody else here for public comment? If we don't have anybody else here, I'd like to make a motion to close out public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. All right, this is, as we move on here, some announcements from the town. We have taken down the old bet. So if you drive past the Elephant Hotel, it has been taken down. We will be putting up the new one, hopefully, I'm going to say by fall, once we get everything in place.
The old one?
The old one is
Is it going
going
in the museum?
is going to go in here in the Elephant Hotel. We're trying to find a spot for it somewhere in here. Right now, she is in an undisclosed location where people.
Convalescent.
Yeah, so she's that. Also to mention here, the governor's budget has passed, and in the governor's budget, there is no housing compact or the transit-oriented development. That is a big plus for Westchester County, Putnam, Rockland, Long Island. And again, that was a bipartisan effort, Democrats and Republicans coming together, opposing that housing compact. There is a new sign over at Van Tassel. So if you drive past Van Tassel with the Senior Center, we had an Eagle Scout do a project for there, so there is a new sign, so you'll see that. And then on next week, there's a ribbon cutting ceremony for Croton Falls, and the new parking at Croton Falls is soon to open up. So that is some news here for Somers as well.
I like the parking there. That's not reserved for North Salem. That is anyone who's going to park.
I believe it's anyone, correct.
Yeah, so anyone in that part of town
Yep.
who doesn't want to go to Golden's Bridge,
Bridge or Purdy's,
Cortona,
or
or
Cortona.
Purdy, right.
Yeah, can
So
go
that'll
there.
make it easier.
And I believe
even
there's about
though-
270 new spots there, and there is some EV charging stations as well there as well. So that's another plus.
Although I go past the parking lot in Katona, like many of us do, and that's
empty.
not nearly as full as it used to be.
No, it used to be
so-
packed. It used to be a waiting list.
Yeah. So it certainly seems to have changed, but it's good to have more parking up in that part of town.
Very true. Next, I'd like to bring up here Dave Smith, our planning consultant, to give us an MS4 presentation.
It's just getting put up on the screen, or? It should. Okay, I'm gonna go out. I gotta look through 4 heads to see this thing, so I'm gonna go sit out in the audience.
No worries. So all I could say is, again, Dave Smith, for the record, planning consultant to the town of Somers. It's a hard act to follow with all those students that you had come in. I'm actually shocked that none of them were studying stormwater management as a scientific endeavor.
You could always be a mentor next year.
You know what? Well, they know where to find me. Right? And that actually, it was interesting to hear the young woman who talked about olfactory senses in dogs. I have a dog who's a connoisseur in smells, and he takes forever to go on a walk because he's got he knows all the dogs in the neighborhood by their smells. So it's very interesting. And it's actually, you know what? It's great to see young people in the STEM fields, and God bless you for recognizing them as a community, because that's, it's really important to have those folks recognized. So I'm going to start. I'm going to go quickly through the municipal separate stormwater sewer system report. It's an annual requirement by New York State DEC. First, I want to just recognize that this is the second time that I've had to prepare this report, and I still had to have a lot of help from town staff, and I just want to recognize Steve Wolfel, Wendy Getting, Nick DeVito, Kathy DeSistro, Tammy Sava, Steve Ralston, Howard Vinberg, and if I've missed anybody, my apologies, but all those folks helped contribute towards the preparation of the report. So I'm just going to go through the report, and actually it was nice that you had all those young people here, because they count towards the head count as part of the presentation. So we're inflating the numbers a little bit to get the numbers up, which is good. So anyway, just for the public at home, the MS4 permit is required under the Clean Water Act of 1972. That's a federal law governing water pollution. The permit is issued by New York State DEC. and it's intended to reduce the amount of pollutants carried by stormwater. So essentially, when it rains, the rain hits the pavement impervious surface, that runs off, that carries with it all sorts of things like oil from vehicles or sand when the community may sand during the winter months. And all of that has to be accounted for, and there's a whole system which we'll go through where the town of Somers and like many other communities have a program that's in place to improve water quality and the recreational use of the waterways. So, I'm sorry, Paul, could you just go back one slide? Thank you. So, just to provide some understanding under the Somers hydrology, you're located within 4 watershed basins within the New York City watershed, Amawalk, New Croton, Croton Falls, and Muscoot. You have approximately 66 stream miles, and you have 3 planned lake communities, Lake Lincolndale, Purdy's, and Lake Shenorock. And the next slide shows kind of the extent of the east of Hudson watershed boundary, which is extensive, and Somers is kind of right in the middle of that. So this program is very important because, obviously, because of the importance of drinking water, not only for the town of Somers, but Westchester County and the metropolitan area. And again, these are just some slides for the public to illustrate and indicate the extent of the kind of the land holdings. And it was interesting, the gentleman that was up here before talked about preserving open space, and this is one of the, obviously one of the great benefits of preserving open space is that it allows for this very important resource to be maintained in good order. So, okay, there's Muscoot, and then these are just some pictures of the lake communities. So in the next slide, so there are different areas of community concern. For instance, in Lake Shenorock and Muscoot River, there are issues with total suspended solids, which is essentially when the community sands, as an example, during the winter months, and that sand gets washed, eventually gets washed off the roadways, and eventually it makes its way down towards the streams and outlets, and there are various catch basins which the town maintains, which collects that sand. So that's an example of how the town is addressing some of these issues. In addition, I was interesting to note that one of the emails I got from the Recreation Department, Howard Vinberg, that the Recreation Department uses a phosphorus-free fertilizer. And that's part of the issue when you look at some of the issues about phosphorus in the watersheds. And so that's, again, those are some of the practices that the town has been implementing to address some of these issues. Okay, let's go to the next slide, which is public education and outreach. So historically, the town has conducted presentations like this. There's information available on the town's website. This meeting counts as part of the public participation, as part of the education. There is illicit discharge detection and elimination. That's a training program for town employees. And then there is, under items 4 and 5, construction site runoff control and post-construction runoff control. That's something that falls under Steve Wolfel's review and purview. And just as an example of how Steve has been addressing some of these issues, the town recently had site plan approval for Tractor Supply, which is due to be pulling a building permit pretty soon. But as part of that site planning effort, there was a water quality basin, an existing water quality basin that when Steve was up there, he had noticed that there were some issues. And so as part of the site plan process, we made sure that the applicant addressed that as part of the site plan approval process. So it's as projects come up, we're constantly looking at the stormwater management system, and if there's an opportunity to make some improvements, we do that as part of the approval process. So just again on public outreach, construction sites, this is where Steve Woelfel gets, he's monitoring construction activities during planning board meetings when we're reviewing applications. Many times as part of the engineering review, we're incorporating or requesting that applicants incorporate green infrastructure as part of their site development and site design. And the target audiences are obviously residential homeowners, contractors, developers, the general public, as we're discussing tonight, and the board and committee members. So let's go to the next slide. So the number of applications, so as part of the site plan process, review process, as applications come in for individual site plans or subdivisions, we review with the applicant's best management practices. Steve Robbins from Woodard and Curran is extremely thorough in his review on stormwater management with respect to site plans. And he's kind of the first line where he's doing the initial review, and then once projects get implemented, Steve Woelfel is doing the enforcement process. And it's important to know, just for the public, there's a separate chapter in the town code, Chapter 93, Stormwater Management, which spells all this out, that if an applicant comes in, they know that they've got to comply with the town code. So some of the strategies implemented, there were 3 cleanup events, 6 days total. There's a community hotline that's available. We have our community meeting tonight. Again, I think we're going to bump that number up from 20 attendees, maybe to 30, depending on how we count that. Public hearings, so any time that there is a public hearing on a site plan or a subdivision, that counts. And I forget the exact number, but we've had a number of site plan or public hearings over the past year with the planning board. And then the annual report is posted on the town website. And so the next slide, this was some of the outreach that the town promotes. And this was a flyer from last year. And this was an event that I had attended, and I think everybody else was here, where the town became the first affiliate of Keep America Beautiful in Westchester County. And that it targeted cleanup events for community-wide. So just again, highlighting some of the measuring progress, during or as part of the input from Highway Department, they've, as part of these cleanup events, they've noted that there were 189 bags of garbage collected. And I think the prior year was significantly less, so there was a lot more collected, which is a good thing. Education of contractors, again, this is a Steve Woelfel issue, so that anytime that he's out on the site, he's actively working with contractors to make sure that they're complying with the stormwater management practices. Next slide.
When you,
yes, sir.
Dave, when you said 189 bags of garbage, those are the orange bags that we gave out and that the Highway Department then picks up before discarding.
Yes, I believe so. That's what they do. Yeah.
Okay.
So again, strategies. All the outfalls have been mapped. 256 of the outfalls were dry weather screened, and essentially what that means is when you have dry weather, you go out to and survey the various outfalls. And if you observe that there is active flow, that means that maybe there's an issue. And out of the 256 evaluated, there were no conditions where there was an active discharge, so that the system seems to be working as proposed and as implemented. There was one illicit discharge reported. Got that from the water department. There was a clogged sewer manhole reported on March 14th, 12 Rosemary Court, but that issue had been resolved. So that was, I think last year there were none, but this year there was one, so we wanted to report that. Um, Okay, let's, we can move on. Reporting and record keeping, yeah, again, I think the reporting and record keeping, I just wanted, we got an email from the Recreation Department again about how they're using a bio-based fertilizer, which is kind of a best management practice. Then there are 5 active construction project sites disturbing 1 acre or more. Again, all of those require a stormwater pollution prevention plan, which is implemented and then inspected by the town, by Steve Wolf's office. And all the active construction sites, they're inspected more than once on an ongoing basis. And those stormwater management plans, those are available, typically they're online because they're part of the site plan application package that are submitted to the planning board. So those are available for public inspection. So I think that pretty much provides a kind of a high-level summary of where the town has been with respect to stormwater management. There is a draft of the MS4 that has been provided to your board, has been reviewed by staff in-house. So the next step is to have the supervisor sign it, and then we submit that to New York State DEC for their records. So,
Good. Thanks.
Happy to answer.
Do we ever
any
hear
questions.
back from the DEC when these things get sent in, at least to your knowledge?
I'm assuming that not hearing from them is a good thing, because
Yes.
we've dotted our I's, crossed our T's, we've complied with the regulatory requirements. I think the actions in the report speak for themselves. All the things that the town of Somers has been doing on an ongoing basis to be responsible for the environment.
I wonder how many plans get sent back to towns like, hey, you didn't do well enough. That would be interesting.
I don't know. I don't want to be one of them. So
Yes.
that's
No, we don't want to be one of them. No.
yeah.
It's a good thing.
But it's, yeah, and I think, it just goes to, the folks like in the highway department and the recreation department and Steve Wolfel, who are constantly monitoring these types of issues because they understand the importance of clean water.
Especially in this area.
Yes, yeah, it's very important.
Yeah.
Dave, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Dave.
Thank you.
All righty, let's move on to number 3. Discuss Glenita Realty petition for amendment to the following sections of Chapter 170 zoning of the Town of Somers Code. If we're gonna, Linda and Rick, you guys want to come up?
Good evening. Linda Whitehead with the firm of McCullough, Goldberger and Stout, representing Glenida Realty. And I just want to start by saying I was a biology major in college, and I'm blown away by what these kids are doing in high school.
It's amazing.
Like, and I know they're gone now, so they don't hear it, but it's more than I did even as a biology major in college. So it's really impressive what they're doing. But back to the topic at hand. Our client is the owner of the property at 259 Route 100. It's about 2.28 acres. A few years ago, you rezoned the property to MFR 100 to allow for a proposed multifamily project with 24 units. While our client was working on the final engineering and working out engineering issues to move ahead with that project, he came up with a proposal for a project that we think will be better for the town in terms of a low-impact project, and that is a self-storage facility. It would be sort of a niche, high-end, climate-controlled self-storage. The multifamily, for those of you who remember, was 3-story buildings with 24 units total. More parking, a new septic area disturbing most of the rear of the site. This would be a larger building, but much less parking. And really, as I said, it is low impact use. It's 2 stories rather than 3. It has no school impacts, yet obviously would pay school taxes. Very little demand on municipal services, much lower sewer and water demands, much less traffic. So a lot of things can be done to really make this a low impact use for the municipality. And when you look at the area, and I know we looked at the area a couple of years ago when we did the rezoning, this property had previously been zoned R80. And it was clear that on Route 100 in this area, that's a very mixed industrial commercial area, that no R80 single family home was going to be built, and that was sort of the basis for the prior rezoning. But the area really is very industrial. There, to the south and across the street, it is zoned OLI for light industry. And so it's sort of an odd area as you come into Somers. So when we looked at it, the OLI zone currently permits warehouse form of storage. Your code doesn't anywhere provide for self-storage. So we have presented you with a petition to amend the zoning code, first to provide a definition of self-storage, which doesn't exist in your code. And this is becoming more common in codes to sort of distinguish between the classic warehouse type of storage and the self-storage type of use. And then to allow that newly defined use as a permitted use in the OLI, and then finally to rezone the property to OLI to allow for this use. So we've submitted that petition to you. We've included proposed zoning text. We've included the site plan, which has been revised a little bit. I know that our client was here and presented to you last month. The site plan's been more fully developed to show we're proposing 15 parking spaces. We're including impervious or pervious pavement for those parking areas to reduce the stormwater impacts.
Goes hand in hand with what we just talked about. So just a second, that will help us make our phosphorus goals? Is that the idea? You should.
Well, and it also just helps with stormwater on the site because it will percolate. It's not running off.
Right. So that's a phosphorus
Yes.
goal, right? To help us make.
Correct. Yeah, so you've got pervious pavement. I remember when it was put in this parking lot out here. You've done it in some of your other parking lots.
Reese Park.
We are proposing that for some of the parking area, could be expanded. You saw, I know last month, you saw the renderings, which we've also submitted to you again. We think this can really be an attractive use for this property. It is designed to look like a carriage house. Again, 2 stories as opposed to 3 that the residential was. So tonight, we'd like to start this process. So there's a few procedural steps for you to start the process. One is to declare your intent to be lead agency for the SEQR review, as you were for the prior zoning a couple of years ago. And the other is to refer the matter out primarily to your planning board. It also gets sent to the county. We would love to ask you to schedule a public hearing for when it comes back from the planning board. We do anticipate being on the planning board agenda next week. And we're happy to answer any questions.
So Roland, you've gone through the text here, or how does that work?
Yeah, it looks great.
It's all good?
Yep.
Okay.
And we did provide you with an environmental assessment form as well, which is needed to start the SEQR process.
I think one of the good things that Mr. DiNardo pointed out last month is as you come up 100 and as things become more developed, you want to be cognizant of how it looks as people enter, and not just there's a bunch of stuff and then you're in the historic district and then you're out of it and where's the town? And the design that was offered seemed to be very good. It was consistent with some other designs, which I think makes a real plus for the town. I think that what you've done so far, what your client has done so far, is very attractive.
Thank you. And we talked about that a lot, even on the prior application, that this being sort of a gateway
Right.
into this part of the town. And to that point, we talked a lot last time about the stone wall along the front.
Right,
and that
definitely.
treatment. And that treatment is going to be the same for this proposal as it was for the multifamily.
Which will match some other.
Correct.
On
The
Route
wall
100.
with the fencing, just
Right.
to continue that.
Right.
And again, provide the nice entry into this area of the town.
Mm-hmm. It's
It's really the transition from the more commercial and industrial into this part of the town, the historic part of the town.
And what was the, I know the alternative entrance and exit was on Highview Terrace, but that doesn't seem to be possible. What was the reason for that again?
So there's a couple of reasons. One is the
Is it
topography.
environmental or
Yeah, one is the
topography?
topography. The other is, I think this property doesn't actually go right up to the right-of-way. This property doesn't actually touch the right-of-way on Highview. There's a strip in between.
Really?
But also the topography doesn't work. It would be very steep. And there is an existing curb cut on Route 100. So when we did the multifamily, we did a full traffic study to show that it would not have any kind of significant impact on the traffic in the area. This use is obviously a much lower traffic use than that 24 residential units. So, and I know our client also mentioned that he had spoken with the neighbors. They also, I think they like the idea that it's 2 stories, not 3.
Yeah.
The multifamily also disturbed a lot of the rear of the site for the septic. This is a much smaller septic, so a lot of that area will remain undisturbed. Before we were disturbing it and then planting a buffer. Now that area doesn't even have to be disturbed.
The current septic could handle, obviously.
No, there has to be a new
There
septic,
has to
but
be a new
it's
septic,
much
okay.
smaller.
Okay.
I guess they'll be planting, is it gonna, are you gonna leave the woods?
Yeah, the woods in the back
Will
remain.
stay in place?
Yeah.
Yes. I like the idea of the curb cut actually being coming in and out of Route 100. I mean, it just keeps those homes just back.
And it's in the location
private.
of the current curb cut.
Right, there's
Yeah.
nothing new. Who owns that little strip?
It's part of a flag lot.
The lot right behind.
The house in the back.
So they have that, and then it comes down parallel to the, what is that, Hilltop, is that, what is it?
Highview.
Highview, coming right down there. Oh, interesting.
Okay. So guys, listen, I'm gonna move right on to number 4. I think we kind of all know, right? So let me go to number 4 here. Patty, we're gonna take out C though. Scheduled public meeting before the town board in connection with the application. So we'll take that out, and we're going to wait for the report and recommendations from the planning board before we do that. But I'd like to make a motion to authorize the town board to execute the following for the Glenita Realty petition to rezone the property located at 259 Route 100 from MFR 100 to OLI per dated April 28, 2023 from McCullough, Goldberg, and Stout, and that will include A, B, and D. Can I get a second?
Yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
So, Roland, this doesn't affect the MFR zoning that we put in place, right? So as we change this, the MFR zoning stays the same, right?
Well, it won't be applicable to this.
Won't be
property.
applicable to this, but the same
But it
provisions
still
will stay,
exists.
because we made some changes to that.
Yes.
And wanted to make
Yeah,
sure that
no,
they
you
stay.
added actually a new MFR 100 district, and that will remain in your code. It just won't
Won't
be
be
what
this-
this site is zoned anymore. So, thank you, and we hope to
Do
be.
we have to declare lead agency, though?
We did.
That was one of the
Yeah,
things you
in
did
this
there.
area.
A, B, and D.
That was A, I think.
Well, A was the accepted petition, B was declare the town board intent
Yeah.
lead agency, and D was
Right.
refer the application to town board, planning board.
Thank you, and we hope to be back to you next month with a report from the planning board.
4, the next page.
Oh, it's that one.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Roland, you got the,
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
you're welcome. We want to get you, up
get
there.
Reminder.
On the road, Ian.
All right, thank you.
You really know.
Safe travels.
Yeah. Big day tomorrow.
It is a big day for him tomorrow.
Yeah.
Grandparents' Day, that's a big day.
Yeah.
Oh, it's cool.
All right, let's move right on here to number 5. Authorize the supervisor to execute a multi-year contract with PKF O'Connor Davies for auditing services with the town of Somers for 2023 to 2027
per email from Robert Kehoe, Director of Finance, dated April 28th, 2023. I'd like to make a motion to authorize supervisor to execute.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Number 6, professional services proposal, installation of a Route 202 crosswalk. I'd like to open up the discussions for that. Do you have the, no? Yeah. So I'll start it off here. Want me to get the pointer? I'm making the pointer.
Oh, is that what the pointer's there for?
Yeah, it just invented.
Use all the new toys.
Just invented.
Forget those modern, laser
You got the
ones.
laser there?
We're going
Is that
old
what you
school.
got?
We're on a budget.
I do have a laser.
So here the proposed,
Batter's dead.
Paul, you got that? So the proposed here would be for, you want to zoom in there? Great. Would be to have a crosswalk
No, that's not working.
right here
It's not picking
where
up.
DeChico's is, right? From DeChico's all the way down to this property here where the corner of the entrance to Heritage Hills. And then we would carry a sidewalk up here. I'm not sure how far we'll go, maybe to where there's 3 steps here and the sidewalk will come up into the parking lot. And then, or maybe carry it all the way out to here. We're still in the process of doing that. And the reason behind this is because we have a lot of students who are leaving school and are coming over to Bobo's or going to, and then we're seeing a lot of kids try to cross diagonally across the lanes here, and it's kind of dangerous for the kids. So we're proposing a new crosswalk here, and then with a sidewalk coming up this way. We're also going to look into ask the DOT if maybe we can do something down here as well, because we are getting a lot of kids from
Dunkin' Donuts.
From Dunkin' Donuts coming through here and coming across and running across the street. So we're trying to add a little protection for kids coming across, and I think it would be, and also I know there's a little bit of ways of making the town a little bit more walkable, but more or less it's for safety purposes and safety reasons as well, since we have a lot of, like I said, a lot of the kids running across the street.
I'm going to state what's obvious to us, though. I just want to say that this is the New York State Department of Transportation.
Yes,
That
Department of
we had a petition to do this, so you've been working with them. It's under their budget, I would, right? Are we paying for this?
It's a
We would
state
pay for, yeah, we would pay,
Okay.
we would pay for this, yes.
All right.
Yeah.
But they got to do the work and approve it, do all the
Correct.
traffic studies.
We've had DOT out there already. They like where this crosswalk is. They do like the crosswalk there. That shouldn't be a problem. We've also had some of the studies there from when all of this went in. So when DeChico's went in, they already did the traffic studies for that area, and that is the ideal location to put the crosswalk.
Now, Rich, you asked this, right, about whether there's going to be a walk sign there? Did you?
No, I did.
You did, okay.
And there will be.
There will be a walk sign, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I like your other proposal though, where that second one by the medical services building, you know.
Yeah, this one over here.
Because if you are walking, right, if you're walking from the other side of that shopping center, there is that little sidewalk right up alongside that I've used many times. So you come along there and then you want to cross the street, but you got to run sort of in traffic. So I think that would be a great help to anybody who's going to cross that street. And I think the more that we can make it so that, because we all know people drive across the street, when they have to do something. And that just, I don't think makes real sense for a town. So the more that we can allow people, hey, park your car, go back across the street, it helps businesses, it reduces traffic, and we'll make it safe. To me, everybody wins on that.
Yep. Anybody else?
No, it's good.
All right.
We acting on it tonight, or is it going over to the consensus?
No, it's just
Oh.
we're just going on that. Actually, we have to wait for the proposal to come in. So. Okay, great.
We're waiting for it from.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the actual proposal to come in, and then we'll put it on there.
From whom are we waiting?
We have to do the study for. We actually have to do the price for it to get it done. The game plan for it, and once we have that, then we'll put it on the agenda to approve that, the cost of it, to actually design the.
But it's an active bid that's out there now?
No, it's not.
It's not, okay, so
No.
we gotta put the bid together and get it.
Correct.
That's a professional service.
Okay.
Yeah, professional service, right?
It's when we're doing the work that we're gonna have to.
Oh, okay.
Correct. Yeah.
But you're presenting the concept.
We're presenting the concept just for tonight.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay, just so you guys keep everybody in the loop here. And then number 7 here, formation of Veterans Committee discussion. We have been talking a lot about asking people to come on and have a Veterans Committee. But before we do that, I would like to form the Veterans Committee and make sure that we have something formalized in place. I know that Katie O'Keefe has been spearheading this Veterans Committee. We've had some discussions with the board here. I know, Bill, you'd want it to be sort of a liaison to this as well.
Yeah.
I believe we've got maybe 1 or 2 other people who want to volunteer on this Veterans Committee. So I think the best thing to do is actually make it a formal committee here from the town. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think this is a great idea and a long time in coming because so many of the veterans issues are coming to the forefront. First of all, I've said a million times, if you love your freedom, thank a veteran. So there's some more we can do for them. If it's just being a liaison between the Veterans Administration and them themselves, if it's welcoming, if it's getting them to participate in our parades, which they're wanting to do, but there's still a few out there that we don't know about. So we want to, do a variety of things, help them, but also collect a larger inventory of the veterans in town. There are many. There are some unsung heroes, and to just see if we can help them and make sure that they get the recognition they deserve.
The committees usually have some sort of a charter and a number of participants, maybe 4, 5, whatever. So you sort of have to, you can establish something like that, I guess.
Correct.
Yeah, I think I don't know if that's Kate or if Kate brings something to us and we approve it, but they'll have the charter, they'll have their committee members.
you
I would
could do it as
assume we
well.
would want to look at
we can do it as
the
well.
board would want to review each and every one of them like we do with the other committees.
Yeah, but just first get the framework out there.
Yeah.
Framework, probably roughly, 5 people or so on the Veterans Committee. That's what, just offhand, that's what I thought about. We are doing a lot for the veterans. Where we do some lunches here. We've done that. We did one, I think last year we did it. We had a great turnout. We had about 35 veterans coming here, and we supplied lunch for them. The high school did a lot of things too. We got a lot of the high school students too are calling us up and asking what they can do. They have a committee there as well. So I think it'd be nice to kind of not blend the two together, but be able to have conversations back and forth, and we have more of a point contact and the committee to kind of help and branch this out. And to Bill's point, right, to take inventory of how many veterans we do have in town. As the banners come down in place too, that's something that we probably have to take over. So this would just be an overall a good thing for the town.
I agree. Thanks for the opportunity.
There's a group of veterans. I was listening to a speaker, I guess it was last month, I'm not sure, about veterans. And they all appreciate, of course, anytime you say, look, when you go overseas, I remember in the Iraq War, I was in a gym actually, and a guy who was a coach, he was on his way the next day to Iraq, and you're saying goodbye to him, not knowing if the guy would come back. And it is emotional. So, these people are maybe sacrificing their lives,
Everything.
and you have to be prepared for that when you're in it. And they appreciate this, but what struck me is when I was listening to this one speaker, is that there's a group who were in the Vietnam War who didn't get all that hero welcome because of the controversial nature of it, caught in the politics of it, which was, I think, so wrong looking back, because they were doing what their duty was. They were called on to serve and not make policy. And my brother was part of that, served during that war. And so I don't know how many people we have in town from that war who are veterans who come back.
More than you'd think.
I would certainly like to meet those people and see what they think now.
Yeah, harmonize them.
I don't really have a whole lot of point there.
All right, great.
But say let's go.
All right. Patty, let's place this on next week's agenda, please. Thank you. All right, Parks and Rec, no additional business. Financial, no additional business. Highway,
No additional business. Personnel, we do have current vacancies again. We have some on the Affordable Housing Board, Parks and Rec Board, Partners in Prevention, and if you want to volunteer, please contact our office, my office, and we'll get you to the appropriate people, have you come in. We can use all the help we can get. As we move on here to authorize the reappointment of Stephen Krug to the Somers Parks and Recreation Board to a 3-year term ending March 9th, 2026. I get a motion?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So moved.
Steve Krug has been a very valuable member, as we all know.
Yeah.
Authorize the promotion of Dan Sheehan as a professional water and sewer maintenance worker, grade 2, at grade 4A, step 4A, the CSA contract, and an annual salary of $54,423 per memo dated April 26, from Kim DeLucia, executive assistant, to the supervisor, effective April 24th, 2023. Can I get a motion to authorize the promotion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. And then I'll acknowledge the resignation of Alan Tepper as a member of the Somers Affordable Housing Board, effective April 23rd, 2023. I've had the opportunity to talk to Alan on many things. I know some stuff came up that he'll no longer be able to serve, but I know he's always there to call upon, and I want to thank him so much for his service to the town. So thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Alan.
Planning and engineering, no additional business. Police, no additional business. Anybody have anything for the proposed consensus agenda?
One thing.
And if no one has any comments on that, we'll just go ahead. And then a calendar of events here. May 11th at 7 p.m., Town Board regular meeting. We do have public hearing for proposed stop signs in various locations in Shinnorock. June 1st.
People want to access those various locations. That, I assume, will be on our website?
It's in the public notice.
It's in the public notice? That's how they would know if someone's listening right now.
They can send me an email, I can just shoot them the public notice.
Okay, if they're interested in that.
Yeah, but it's in the public notice.
Okay, good, thank you.
Thanks, Patty. June 1st and June 8th, we have our Town Board work session and our Town Board regular meeting, both starting at 7 p.m.
Oh, excuse me, but it's to make a 3-way stop at Lakeview and Cypress.
Yeah. That's the one?
At the lake, yes. And then the second one is a stop sign at Bridge Lane at the dead end.
Okay,
So
so
coming-
there are two proposed.
2 locations.
2 locations, okay, good, thank you.
Sure. I figured I should.
Yeah, it makes it easier.
Since I know it.
Right, right.
I said June 1st and June 8th.
Yep.
And then July 13th, 7 p.m., Town Board work session and Town Board regular meeting. We are combining those two together. And August 10th, 7 p.m., Town Board work session and Town Board regular meeting. Would you like me to do the announcement first, Patty, before you have your little...
I don't have a fun fact.
You don't have a fun fact?
Well, I have a little something to say, but
You do?
no, it's really not a fun fact.
Oh, it's not a fun fact, yeah. Okay, well, I'll hold it until after the announcements.
So you're 800 and
Dave wants as something here.
Tom, Dave, here's some.
Yes. You're getting into announcements?
Yes.
So if I apologize for jumping in. Just wanted to let, you all may know, but the town of Somers in general may not know that Dennis McNamara was awarded a Distinguished Citizen Planner Award by the Westchester Municipal Planning Federation. That just came out, and congratulations to Dennis.
Very well deserved.
Well deserved, yes,
Congratulations,
absolutely.
Dennis.
And the event where they're honoring him is on Wednesday, May 31st, at the Glen Island Harbor Club in New Rochelle, and that starts at 6 o'clock in the evening. So if anybody wants to get tickets, email Rob or email me, and we can give them the information. But I just wanted to make sure that got out, that Dennis has been formally recognized for all of his services to the...
Are you going to be able to attend?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Okay?
Thank you.
Very
Thank you
good.
so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
It's awesome. Tom, I know you want to
Yes,
talk about the first one.
Thank you very much, Rob. So it was with much sadness that a day or two ago I was texted a longtime resident of Somers, Dr. George Port, Jr., passed away on April 27th at the age of 93. For those who don't know, a lot of the long-timers in town would know him. He dedicated his life to education, first in Massachusetts as a teacher, a principal, and then a superintendent of schools. He then moved to Somers, where he, for 18 years, was the superintendent of Somers schools. During that time, my mother was on the school board for 12 years. As families, we became very close. I have 3 older sisters and a twin sister. We all went to school at the same time as his kids, and used to hang out a lot. Dr. Port was just a great guy, one of the nicest guys, cared very much about the kids. After he retired from superintendent, if you look at, there's a small sign right in between the middle school and the intermediate school. It is the Dr. George Port Education Campus. I remember I was there the day that they had the ceremony. He was so happy, but he had retired up to Newbury, and we saw him. He was nice enough when my mother passed away, now 8-9 years ago. He was nice enough with his whole family to come down and attend the wake, and it was wonderful seeing him. But he did a lot for Somers schools during a very interesting time, and I used to feel special as a kid in 7th grade, because I used to get to take the top secret documents from the school board and drop them off. At that time, well, it still is, I guess, the superintendent's office was there, so I used to get to go drop them off in his office and look all important. But super nice guy, did a lot for the town of Somers. He'll be missed, and we express our condolences to his family, and that's it. I don't know if you know him or not, Rich.
I only, at that time, I was first on the school board, so somewhere around early 2000, late 19, whenever it was.
Right.
It was in the 1990s, I guess.
Yeah.
And they had the ceremony over there.
Yeah.
And Dr. Brodow was the superintendent at that time. And although I did not go back, obviously, as far as, although I did live in town in the 80s, I didn't know Dr. Part or anything like, but Dr. Brodow spoke so highly of him, and he wanted to, make sure that the guy was recognized with that sign that's still up there that maybe needs to be replaced actually now. So that was my only contact with him. But he came so highly recommended that I do remember it.
And then he went on to teach at Pace University.
Yeah.
He did classes there, and I used to run. I'm a Pace graduate, so I would run into him when I was in grad school every now and then and chat. But yeah, very nice guy. So for those who knew him, we wanted to let you know.
Yeah, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was
Thank
great.
you. Onto that, so the American Red Cross installing free smoke alarms in our community. You can learn more and make an appointment at soundthealarm.org, or you can call 845-673-1198. Last time we did this, it was last year, we've had a lot of people call to replace their smoke alarms. So if you're uncertain, they will come there. They'll bring a crew in there to help out and change out the smoke alarms. It's a very good program. About fires every day in America. About 7 lives are taken from house fires. So
Is there any cost for that, Rob?
nope, it's free.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
It's free.
I guess, I don't know if he's the liaison or one of them. Jack Mattis is on
Jack,
the
yep.
planning board. And so Jack is always, when there's meetings, sort of, proposing this, making sure people take advantage. But what's the catch? This seems too good to be true, but it is true. And no cost. They come in, they evaluate where they should be, they put them in. You go, this is a winner.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's free. So if everybody just please take advantage of it. There's a symposium, a panel discussion, Hope and Healing from Substance Use, sponsored by the Living Hope Adventist Church, and that is Saturday, May 6th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at St. Luke's Episcopal Church. On Saturday, May 6th through Saturday, May 13th, St. Luke's Church annual spring plant sale, which will take place 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So great way to get your Mother's Day gifts. Wednesday, May 17th through Sunday, May 21st, the Somers Lions Club Carnival, and that will be taking place at the Fireman's Field again. You can start to see some of the trucks out there, and the rides are about to be set up. Yeah, look at the weekend.
I don't know, it depends. You've had it where it's freezing and you've had it where it's nice.
You usually get about 2 days
And
of,
rainy.
That's true.
of nice weather.
The weekend's gonna be
Was
perfect.
it this weekend?
It's the 17th.
No, next.
17th.
It's too far out, yeah.
Yeah. And then Westchester County Mobile Shredder coming back to Somers, Tuesday, May 23rd, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And again, that's at Reese Park. We have the 7th Annual Charity Car Show honoring the veterans in memory of Louis DeMarco, sponsored by the Horton Landscaping and Leewood Beverage Center, Sunday, June 11th, 9 to 3, Somers Intermediate School. The first 125 cars will get entry bags to them, and there's 50/50s, there's trophies, there's a DJ. So if you'd like to do, contact Kenny, 914-248-0883. All proceeds will donate to veterans. Town of Somers Independence Day celebration, Saturday, June 24th, Reese Park, and they will start from 4 until the fireworks are over. And then we're calling for all high school students. Somers Park and Recreation is accepting applications for summer day camp counselor positions. Must be 16 years of age by June 26, 2023. Approximate salary for the 6 weeks is $2,200. And that camp is held at Reese Park, Monday through Friday, June 26th to August 4th. And there'll be no camp held on July 3rd or 4th. That is all I have for the announcements. Patty, do you have anything for...
Today was quite a boring day in history. Both in history, and sports history. But I would just like to say to all my Star Wars friends, let the 4th be with you.
There you go.
No, May the 4th.
May the 4th.
May the 4th
be with you.
Here we go.
So not me.
Well, on that note, I will...
One quick thing, Rob.
Go ahead.
This Saturday, May 6th, at the high school is the Wayne Memorial Track Meet, sponsored by the Somers Lions. So please come out and support the Somers teams in this meet. And have
That's one of the biggest ones around. Yeah,
That is huge.
And I think we're supposed to have
it's
nice
double
weather.
digits.
We are. Saturday
Number
looks
of
nice.
participation is double digits in terms of schools, but I think it's
Oh,
way
way
beyond
beyond
that.
that,
I
yeah.
heard 42, but
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know.
it's
It's going to be
shot.
close to 50. It's
Close to
it's
50. That's
gigantic.
an accurate
If you're
number.
into track, that's one of the meets
Yeah.
that you aim for.
It's a 2-day event. I mean, they do stuff Friday night.
Friday and Saturday.
And then they do stuff from Saturday, like 8 in the morning until like 6, 7 at night.
The
Long
center of the
event.
universe.
You actually just think about it. Just how many things
you
you've
at
heard,
the
right?
grill.
The Regeneron Science
Yeah.
Fair at the school, one of the biggest
State
ones around.
champions, state champions.
So there's
Several state
track.
champions.
several states, and then this track meet. There's a lot of great things going on.
Greatest town.
Even.
Well, on that, guys, I'd like to make a motion to close tonight's work session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Good night, everyone.
Good night.